I had a brother in Christ. He had stage 4 prostate cancer, and he went on a plant-based lifestyle for 3 years, was drinking a gallon of carrot juice with ginger a day. It sounded crazy at first, but me being a diabetic sounded, worse. So I'm like, you know what, I'll try it. Wendie, within 30 days, my numbers were a lot better. Within 60 days, everything was gone. Diabetes was
I
gone.
believe
I
it
went back to my
100%.
yeah, and I went back to my doctor, and the doctor's like, this can't be right. Like, we're going to redo your blood work. I go, no, I just had it done. I knew you were going to say that. You told me once a diabetic, always a diabetic. I reversed it on my own. You guys don't know what you're doing. If you follow everything that your family's been doing for decades and eating like them, well, yeah, then you have a strong chance of becoming diabetic. But there's no really scientific proof that diabetes type 2 through type 3 is a genetic disease. That's the craziest science myth ever. It's not true.
You're listening to the Visibly Fit Podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Wendie Pett, and every week I'll give you holistic, practical solutions for everyday issues related to nutrition, healing, functional fitness, and behavior modifications. As a naturopath, fitness expert, and wellness coach for over 20 years, my goal is to empower you to reach for greater health and to rise up to your next level of living in mind, body, and spirit. You were created with greatness in mind. It's time to own it. Are you with me? Then let's dive in. Sedentary lifestyles, poor dietary habits, and obesity are major contributing factors to the rise of type 2 diabetes and even type 3 diabetes. The CDC reports that more than 70% of adults with diabetes are overweight or obese, and diabetes hits home. Really, it does, with just about everyone these days. Maybe you are struggling, or you have a loved one, or you know someone who is struggling. The two most common types of diabetes are type 1, which is typically diagnosed in children early on or as young adults. But we're going to be mainly talking about type 2 diabetes, which accounts for almost 90 to 95% of all the diabetes cases. And there's also, tons of stigma and I guess people being labeled pre-diabetic, but we're going to get into that just a little bit because that hits a nerve. And so you'll see why as we dive into this conversation. But today on the Visibly Fit Podcast, it's going to be a great interview. By the way, if you haven't listened to this show before, welcome. I am your host. My name is Wendie Pett, and I look forward to this time with you today. I interview Timothy Keller, and we're going to be talking about just the promising future of diabetes care. He is a visionary leader, and he is the chairman and founder of U.S. Diabetes Care. With over 32 years of experience in the medical industry, Tim's journey began at St. Joseph Regional Medical Center, where he quickly rose through the ranks, forging invaluable partnerships with physicians along the way. His career has spanned roles at renowned companies like Stryker and Smith & Nephew Orthopedics, ultimately leading him to become a consultant in specialty retail pharmacy. Now, Tim's personal experience with diabetes and his sons, which we're going to talk about both, ignites a passion for creating these innovative solutions in diabetes management, culminating in the launch of an e-learning app designed to empower patients with evidence-based education, real-time glucose insights, and personalized lifestyle coaching. Under his leadership, U.S. Diabetes Care is redefining what's possible for the over 37 million Americans, I believe it's even more than that, living with diabetes today, aiming not just for management, but for reversal and for them to thrive. So I want you to join us as we explore Tim's inspiring journey. Again, we're also going to be talking about his son's journey, and we're going to be talking about this groundbreaking app and the transformative vision that he holds for the future of diabetes care. So enjoy the show. Well, welcome, Tim Keller, to the Visibly Fit Podcast. It is a delight to finally connect. I know we've tried to make this happen multiple times, so I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah, Wendie, technology. I think it was on my end twice. I'm not a technically savvy guy. It's not my talent.
And yet you are, because you have this app that we're going to be talking about. So
that's a vision that technically savvy people made happen. I knew what I wanted, but God gave them a different talent to make my vision come true.
amen. We need every part of the body working together to make things happen. So I love that. Well, I want to jump right in and hear about your story, because that's really the catapult that got you into the place that you're in today, and with the vision that you had around the diabetes healthcare instead of sick care model. And so let's kind of talk about your personal story, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So in 2008, Kimberly, I had been in medical since I was 17, but in 2008, I was an ex-football player, so I was working as a distributor. I mean, working 80 to 120 hours a week. I ran a distributorship for the state of Indiana, Northern Kentucky. Had about 33 reps. Very busy guy, but had a very bad lifestyle. And what I mean is, you didn't eat all day, maybe drink a gallon of coffee, and then at nighttime, 8 o'clock at night, you're eating a bunch of rich food and having some drinks and with some doctors or whatever you're doing. 10 years of that, 15 years of that lifestyle. Next thing you know, I was 285 pounds. Actually, because I was an ex-football player, still was actually pretty agile and could move around pretty good. So I didn't feel like I was 285, but I was very unhealthy. And I had to get a life insurance test to kind of re-up some life insurance. And my agent called me and said, "Hey, you better go see your doctor." I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Your A1C is 11.7 and your fasting blood sugar is 484. Now,
Wow.
the crazy thing is, Wendie, is people go, "Oh, how could you even be walking around with numbers like that?" Well, it's what I learned later. But I went to my doctor, and he had no clue what to do with me. He was looking at me like I was crazy, and he was crazy. And he just wrote 7 prescriptions and sent me out the door and said, "Hey, there's an education class in 3 months you might want to go to. You might learn a little bit about diabetes, but you have diabetes and you've had it for a while with your numbers." And he goes, "Maybe 10 years." He goes, "And you're not stopping this. Like, you just got to figure out how to, control it or get it under control." Well, that
Wow.
scared me, because I've been in the orthopedic sites. You know what I'm seeing? Amputations, right?
Right.
Of
Right.
end stage diabetes. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm in trouble.
Gangrene. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I had a brother in Christ who was, real healthy. His name was Redford Moss. He had a website called yourhealthguy.com. He had stage 4 prostate cancer metastasized to the, liver, lungs, everywhere. And he went on a plant-based lifestyle, extreme, all raw, for 3 years, was drinking a gallon of carrot juice with ginger a day. It sounded crazy at first, but me being a diabetic sounded, worse. So I'm like, you know what, I'll try it. Wendie, within 30 days, my numbers were a lot better. Within 60 days, everything was gone. Diabetes was
I
gone.
believe
I
it.
went back to
100%.
and I went back to my doctor, and the doctor's like, "This can't be right. Like, we're going to redo your blood work." I go, "No, I just had it done. I knew you were going to say that. You told me once a diabetic, always a diabetic. I reversed it on my own. You guys don't know what you're doing. Westernized medicine isn't trained correctly." So what I did was I started I had some money from my orthopedic distributorship. I sold it out a year later in 2009. And I said, "You know what? I have this passion to go out and help diabetics that were scared like I was." And, me and God threw back this vision a bunch of times. We fought over the logo, we fought over the name, and God won, obviously. And I took a big risk and went out and started U.S. Diabetes Care, Love Hope Family. And the reason why we call it that is that if you give patients more love, more genuine care, like Christ love, you're going to give them hope for a better day and give them more time with their family. And so that's what we've done, and we've changed thousands and thousands of lives. My first medical director in U.S. Diabetes Care was terrible. He was a Westernized trained doctor, and behind my back, he was telling my nurse practitioners, "Well, I don't even know what Tim is doing here. I don't know why he's crazy if he thinks he's going to fix diabetics. They're the worst patients to have." So my practitioner pulled me aside, told me that. I walked in the building in front of my practitioners and fired him right in front of everybody and said, "You don't see my vision, and you don't see God's vision. You're not a Lord-fearing person, and we're a Lord-fearing company. You need to go." So I'm scared because I'm not a doctor, so I can't really have a medical clinic without a medical director. And I'm like praying. And Redford, again, the guy who saved my life, was I said, hey, come down and run this community center for me because we have a big center, Wendie, of 15,000 square foot, but then I have a community center that we just brought people in and had healthy meals and loved people, right?
And
And
this is located where, Tim?
In Morristown, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. And we called that diabetic church. That was diabetic church over there where we're just loving on people. And Redford ran that because Redford's just amazing at building community. Actually, Redford owns a ministry called LifeWorks Ministries, lifeworks.com, and it's all college campus kids and PD1 soccer programs and just some incredible stuff he's doing. But he was great at building community, and he came and almost tackled me. He's like, I was just over at this church playing basketball, and they came out and talked to me, and he goes, I went in and watched this guy's diabetic class, and you have to go see him. You got to go see him. And that happened to be Dr. Daniel Castro. He was at a Seventh-day Adventist church doing a 6-week diabetic series on diabetes education. And my vision for diet was diabetes education, but we didn't have a real educator at that point. I saw him, Wendie, and my jaw just dropped. I'm like, God put this guy right in the back doorstep of U.S. Diabetes Care in Morristown, Tennessee, was from California, Loma Linda trained, westernized medicine trained. So he's seen both sides. He was trained that once a diabetic, always a diabetic. Now he's learned that that's not true. And matter of fact, in our first
lifestyle
series,
medicine.
Yep. Our first education series, starts out, he says just that. I was trained once a diabetic, always a diabetic. I've learned through training that that's not entirely true. So that's our first opening line, and we build off of that. We have so many things in our education series, but I learned it real hand. I weigh 215 pounds now and live a very healthy life, and enjoy the healthy life I'm living. Some of these East Tennessee people are so sweet because some of these old ladies say, it's this God's will I have this diabetes. And I'm like,
oh, no,
it's not God's will that you have diabetes. God doesn't want you to have diabetes and be sick. And then once we fix them, they come back, Wendie, and say, well, you know what? I guess it wasn't God's will for me to have this diabetes, but I praise God first and then U.S. Diabetes Care second. It's so cute.
Well, at least they got the order right.
Well,
I love
cute.
that. But, you sent over some stats before we started our interview, and 37 million Americans are living with diabetes, and it's costing the U.S. economy $412 billion annually. I mean, this is obviously a big monster to tackle, right? And yet, with God, all things are possible. And that's the vision you have. And I know that you're making such an impact with this vision and the people that God has put around you to support it. And that's what I love about when it's God's deal, it gets done. And so, I love that also you have overcome diabetes yourself, so you can speak from that, but you also have this app. So let's talk about the premise of it, why it's different than others. I mean, I know that people's lives are changing left and right, but let's talk about why it's different and why the monitoring system is different than what's out there.
Okay, so this is the reality, Wendie, and this is the problem with healthcare in a whole. Westernized medicine isn't trained to really educate diabetics. It's trained to be a profit center. So there's no money in a cure.
Prescribe medications.
Yeah, there's no money in a cure. So in the 1950s, Big Pharma took over the resident training programs in most hospitals to curb the cost, and they trained doctors how to treat a symptom, not a patient.
Right.
So where U.S. Diabetes Care is different, we reverse that model. We treat a patient, not a symptom. Because if you and I both are type 2, type 3 diabetic, Wendie, and we go into a westernized doctor of the same, he's going to treat you and I with his protocol. It might work for you, might not work for me, might not work for either you or I. And so this is the problem. We actually
but let's put
that.
Little air quotes around the word work, because it's only a Band-Aid for that brief
Yeah.
moment, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what we do is we treat a patient and not a symptom. And what we do is we figure out what is the cause of their insulin resistance. What is causing your insulin resistance? And the only way that you can train someone on that is because insulin resistance is the root cause of type 2, type 3 diabetes.
Yep.
People think, well, I have type 2. Well, they don't realize they're insulin resistant. People that have type 3 don't realize insulin resistant. Type 1, there's really no insulin the pancreas produces, so there's no really uploading to the muscle.
Right.
So they have a kind of different problem with their diabetes. But the man-made stuff, the type 2, type 3, which is all the processed food, hydrogenized wheat, high fructose corn syrup, processed flour, sugar, refined fats, refined oils. These are
Yeah.
what's causing all the, and you know what it causes? An intercellular lipid fat in the cell. So where the cell receptors are like open like this, they actually close because intercellular lipid fat clogs them up. It's like a thick oil sludge in your cell. That's where the insulin resistance comes from. And so what we got to do is we got to clean people from the cellular level. And the only way you can do
Yes.
that is by learning each individual patient and their metabolic syndrome.
Yeah, that's so good. So obviously, there's blood work involved. And real quick, let's go back to type 3 diabetes, because a lot of people don't know that type 3 diabetes is, like Alzheimer's. So let's, I just kind of want to make that clear, because people hear of type 1
Yeah.
and type 2 all the time.
Yeah. So type 3 diabetes is now diagnosed as early onset dementia that turns into full-blown Alzheimer's, and it's basically the same sugar of the brain. And so people got to understand diabetes is a microvascular disease, right? So why your insulin resistance in your muscles or your cells, that's when you got to fix it. Because if you let it get to the extremities or the internal organs, the heart, the brain, the kidneys, that's when stuff goes really bad, right?
Yep.
So why it's laying, the insulin resistance is laying out there in the muscles and cells. Let's get it fixed now, guys. And this whole pre-diabetic stuff, Wendie, I can't stand it. You're not pre-pregnant.
I'm with you on that.
Either you're diabetic or you're not. And so they've attached this pre-diabetes world from a 5.6 to a 7.0 A1C. No, you're a diabetic.
It lets people dance a little on the edge, and then they don't take care of it. Yeah.
And you hear and everyone's pre-diabetic. This is the thing. Those numbers that you gave earlier are so skewed. So it's actually 39 million registered diabetics now and 93 pre-million diabetics. Well, what is that? What numbers? Where are they coming up with these numbers? They're like, where are they getting this data? They're not walking around the street and asking everybody if they're diabetic. These are Medicare number only. These are only Medicare numbers. People that are Medicare are on Medicare. These aren't private pay, commercial, people that haven't even went and got tested. So I'm telling you, Wendie, in my opinion, my professional opinion, I think 2.5 of 4 Americans are diabetic.
Not
I don't use the word free.
Right.
So,
not surprising, especially with the standard American diet that people are consuming. Right.
Yeah. Well, fast food. So look, it's crazy. I haven't had fast food or soda since 2009.
Good.
Just quit doing it. And then all the junk food in the house disappeared. My wife was happy because my wife is a health nut. She's always been, and she'll live till she's 130. That's how healthy she is. But, for us in our house, we made changes. When you go on our website, Wendie, there's a young man on there and a testimonial, Colin Keller. That was our son. He went from 354 pounds to 220 pounds. He had it all. He had fatty liver, diabetes, cholesterol, everything. And he was only 23 years old. And he went and changed his life. No drugs, no Ozempic, no, tirzepatide. He did it all on his own through lifestyle, our platform, and he's now happy, healthy, and it's the best timing because we have our first grandson, which has been a blessing. But he's like, Dad, Knox is so happy and smiles, and I go, yeah, because you and Ava are happy. You guys are Lord fearing. You're going to church together. You're raising them with God, and you guys have a happy household, and you got your health. Babies feel all that stuff, right?
They sure do, Tim. They sure do.
But Wendie, how many 23-year-old, 24-year-olds are walking around the country right now like this?
A lot, too many to even count in my mind. There's just, because it's become this ripple effect of unhealthy choices from the parenting. People are more sedentary these days. They're not moving their body. There's all these different accumulation of their choices that show up at the cellular level, and that's what we're seeing. So when you think of your son, for instance, what was the culprit for him? That because it really has to be that someone's pain is greater than their circumstance, that they're ready to change. Like, some people just don't want to change, even if they know they have diabetes. So it's getting to the culprit of the emotional need. I mean, like you said, it's diabetes church. Like, this is a soul issue too, in the sense of, how do we care for people that may not love themselves right now, right? How do we get them to see
Well,
themselves through God's eyes?
Colin, he's my son. Not being biased, but he's been a blessing. He's one of those kids that just obeys, right? Now, he wasn't saved yet, and we actually grew up catechism Catholic, or that's how I raised him. And then when Grandma passed away, then I ended up getting saved in a non-denominational church. I left Catholicism. Just not going to get into that, but there's some reasons.
Yeah, my husband
And
was brought up that way.
yeah, and so Colin actually called me because he moved down to East Tennessee when he was 18 to start as a MIG welder for Oshkosh. And he called me and he's like, "Hey, Dad, I met a nice girl. I'm thinking about switching to Southern Baptist. You think it's going to hurt Grandma's feelings?" Well, my mom already had passed away. That's what kind of kid he is. And I said, "Colin, Grandma just wants you to love the Lord and have a relationship with the Lord. She doesn't care what denomination you are." And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what denomination you are. You have to love the Lord and have a relationship with the Lord. And so he made that transition, but because he made that transition, his heart was open to making life changes. And maybe before, he was in a bad relationship and really didn't love himself and was, being abusive to his body and, eating and drinking and doing the things. But, I think him being saved in that Southern Baptist church, before he made his life transition, opened his eyes to a different journey. And I think what happened was, in the great timing of God's plan, God said, "Hey, Colin just didn't feel great," and he went and got blood. He was, my center's right there in East Tennessee. So he went and got blood work, and now he actually works for us running the brain scans for vascular type 3 dementia.
So
But
cool.
so he went and got this blood work and goes, "Man, I'm really scared." And he's the type of kid that, you know, he's kind of funny because I laugh when he was young. I mean, he's scared of everything, right? Oh, I bumped my knee or hit my head. You think I'm gonna have he's one of those kids, almost like a borderline hypochondriac.
Yeah.
So he's not hard to scare into a position of health. Once he realized what was going on, it scared him. And so he went out and did it all on his own. I mean, now we had a little coaching. He had the advantage of having me and Dr. Casper right there, but he did all this on his own. And now his testimonial, everybody should go to our website and go to
And what is your website, Tim?
Yeah, usdiabetescare.com.
Yes.
And there's a tab that says media room, and there's testimonials from all walks of life there, not actors. And Colin's one of them, and listen to his testimonial. I mean, it's my son or not, it's very touching.
Yeah, it really is. And I just think getting back to that headspace and heart space of wanting to live a better life. You know, not everyone is there, is what I'm saying, Tim. And not everyone can be scared into changing their health. Some people are just in that kind of victim place. They've just been through a lot, and they don't necessarily know what it even feels like to be healthy. So they think they're too far gone, that kind of thing. What would you say to that person? Because I have them come across my path as well. And it's about getting them to, flip the script and anyway, what would you say to someone like that?
Well, Winnie, it's real simple for my process. Is like, God's intent for us was to be happy and healthy. God's put everything on this earth to heal us. We have to get out of our own way and our own fear to make choices that are for a better health. And it's not just for us, Winnie. If you it's not just for us. It's to give God glory.
Yes.
But more second of God, your family. Your family doesn't, you know what? I have a little segment, Wendie, and my wife, she's brutal, but it's in a good way, right? Because my wife told me, I'm not kidding, exactly what words off her mouth when I got diabetes, and my wife she's from healthcare too, right? That's how we met. She says, you know what? You did this to yourself. And she says, look, if you're not willing to change your life or for a better, healthier for me and the kids, she goes, when you're old and the kids are gone, she goes, you think I'm going to be sitting around wiping your butt and taking care of you because you didn't take care of yourself? She goes, I'm not. That's
That's
not what I signed
honest.
up for. And she says, so if you want to have a happy marriage with me, you better take your health serious. That's exactly what she said to me.
Mm.
So, at the time, it kind of hurt my
Sometimes
feelings,
we need
but
that tough love, right?
no, yeah, it's like, but she's like, hey, I care enough about you to take care of myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would you not do that for me? So I
Love your
think,
neighbor as you love
yeah.
yourself, right?
So exactly. So that's what you just hit the nail on the head. What I would say to people, we got to get back to loving ourselves. Because if we don't love ourselves, we can't project love to anyone else.
That's right. That's right. That's so
And the
good.
only way
So
to love
see,
yourself is by taking care of yourself.
yeah, and seeing it as an act of worship, right? Or it's like
Yeah.
a stewardship of this gift that we've been given, this body. So that's so good. So people that don't live in Tennessee, like, what do they do? How do they get help from you guys?
Well, number one, they can call and schedule a telehealth. We're a telehealth platform as well, so
Yes.
they can still get maybe not the one-on-one personal care, because I'm telling you that's the best care in the country. We are the best diabetic center in the country. No one even comes close. And matter of fact, once I get this app and the clinical app taken off, I'm actually going to probably start the U.S. Diabetes Care Institute of Excellence and bring doctors to us and train them how to treat diabetes because they don't know.
Fantastic.
But we can get a telehealth visit, no problem. And then, usdiabetescare.com. I mean, people need to get the app, hit the Learn More tab, read all about our website, read us, hit the Learn More tab, learn about the education series we have, and don't just sign up and then when it comes time to pay, forget it. It's $120 to change your life,
It's
$10 a
nothing.
month. I mean, nothing. And you know what? After the first year, you will never have to have the app again. We have already taught you every tool you need to know to change your diabetes and your lifestyle. And it's not just diabetes, lipidemia, high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, brain fog, anything, it's gone. I mean, if you fix insulin resistance, all disease state goes away.
That's right. That's right. That's it. You just get to the root cause of the problem, and you have some incredible partners, some affiliate kind of partners that you have partnered with, such as myself and others, and so super excited about that. But it's about working together to get people healthy and well, and it does take a collective. Party to make that happen. So I love the
Well,
vision
see,
that
it
you have.
takes a village to raise a
Raise
child.
a
It takes
child.
a village. It takes a village to change people.
Yeah, well, sometimes we're just big kids, and we don't want to change. We go kicking and screaming. But once that change happens and they have that breakthrough, just like you had that breakthrough in your son, man, it's like a game changer. You live differently, you see things differently. Like, let's talk about that for a minute. I mean, I know that you've been on this health journey for quite some time and you're living clean and well, but do you recall what that first kind of aha breakthrough kind of feeling was when you could maybe do something that you couldn't do before? Maybe it's tie your shoe or run up the
Well,
stairs, or I don't know.
well,
How'd that feel?
the thing is, Wendie, look, I'm very blessed by God. I was a freak athlete, and when I was that big, I didn't really like feel that big because I was still very agile. I could tie my shoe, I could go up the stairs, I didn't get winded.
And
I'd
did
go
you say you
work
were a
out occasionally.
lineman?
No, I was a fullback, running back.
I mean, fullback.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So the thing that's crazy, I didn't get even I go work out with my wife, I'd be on a treadmill and wouldn't even get winded being that heavy. It was weird. But I will tell you my breakthrough. I didn't like being fat, and I just call it what it is. I was fat. And
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like a bit 5'9", 285, I was fat. I actually have a couple before and after pictures later I'll show you, but I think my breakthrough moment is when I went shopping for some new clothes and I went from a 42 waist to a 34, and how great I felt that I could. And I like to dress nice, but when you're
Yeah.
heavy, you can't dress nice. They just don't
Right.
have the type of
Big and
clothes
tall
that,
shop isn't so great.
yeah. Well, you know what? You get a big and tall shirt when you're heavy, and and you look big and tall in it because you look like you're wearing a parachute. So, I just
Yeah.
never, liked that aspect of life. But when I could wear, clothes and feel good in them, that was my breakthrough moment
Yeah, that's good.
for
That's
me.
good. Felt good, look good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the continuous glucose monitoring because that's a big deal. And there's a lot of glucose monitors out there and that kind of thing. How does the integration of the technology enhance that user experience?
Well, the great thing is, I hate to, generic it down this much, but it's true. A diabetic doesn't have to poke their finger all day long.
So
Um,
good.
that process is painful and not fun. People get calloused and
Yeah.
that hurts. And, the only time they have to poke their fingers when they first put a continuous glucose monitor on, they have to do it one time to check the blood from your finger poke versus the continuous glucose, because the continuous glucose monitor is percutaneous, so it's just
Yeah.
in the kind of the fat pad in the muscle. It's really not a real true blood reading, so you're going to have a little difference of readings. Once they poke the finger and then calibrate it with that, that's really kind of where their measure is for the life of that. Most continuous glucose monitors last 10 to 14 days, depending on which one it is. Um, it's changed diabetics' life from the standpoint that they have a continuous reading of their blood to make them more compliant on what the heck they're doing. If
Yep.
they're actually watching it and they see a huge spike and they go, well, what did I just do? Oh, I just ate that. And then they eat it again. The same thing happens. Like, okay, maybe I should limit that food intake, or maybe I shouldn't eat white rice because every time I eat white rice, my blood sugar spikes and it doesn't go down for hours. Some people can eat white rice and it doesn't do anything to them. But once again, I talked about earlier, Wendy, where people have to figure out their own metabolic disease and figure out what
That's
works
right.
and doesn't.
And food
That's where
sensitivities
continuous
and
glucose, yeah, that's where continuous glucose monitors have been life changing for the diabetics, because where they're like, oh gosh, I got to poke my finger again. They got a continuous measure of it.
yeah, right, right. And it works well with the app, the
Oh
pilot,
yeah.
your user engagement. Um, I guess 60% of the participants in your pilot program achieve significant reductions in their A1C, right? So, what specific features of the app have proven most effective in engaging users and encouraging proactive diabetes management? What's been the specific features?
Specific features are, first and foremost, it's the pure truth. It's like the Bible, right? The Bible's the truth about the pure truth about God. God wrote a book. That's kind of the way we structured our education with US Diabetes Care. This is a pure truth about diabetes without apology. You're going to learn thing about diabetes in our series. We have 8 1-hour series. We talk about brain health. We talk about oxidative stress. We talk about
Good.
refined fats. We talk about the truth about diabetes, the lies that we've been told by big pharma, big medical. It's all bold. Like, we put
That's
it out
right.
there. We're not here. Don't go
Don't
get a
sugarcoat it. No pun
yeah,
intended.
get popcorn, because we're not entertaining you here. We're going to give you the truth. So I think that's what really, when he sets us apart, is that people are going to learn the real education about diabetes and not falsehoods.
Yeah, that's so good. And the importance of sleep and vitamin D and just normal things that the body needs that has probably been sidestepped a little bit for most that have diabetics or diabetes. So this is so good. I appreciate your time, and I'm so glad that we could finally get together. And I definitely want people to go to usdiabetescare.com to learn more, and we'll have that in the show notes as well. Is there one last final thing that you'd like to share with the audience that's kind of on your heart around this project, or just whatever God's got on your heart right now?
Well, this has been on my heart since I started this company, is that, and we talked about a little bit earlier, is that people out there, God wants nothing but happy and healthiness for you. Quit being afraid to make life changes for a better you. And if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for God first, and then do it for your
Yes.
family, your children, and your grandchildren, and your children's grandchildren. They don't deserve to suffer with you Because I'm telling you, diabetes, if you let it go, what do you want to die from? Because it's all coming. And I'm not trying to be bold, but I am being bold.
No,
Diabetes
yeah,
is
it's
a
true.
silent killer. Kidney failure, amputation, blindness, heart disease. What do you want? It's all
Liver,
coming.
all
And
of it. Mhm.
so please take that seriously, and be an example to your family, because if you're found and leading by, it's like the Bible says, the man is the household, the man is the head of the house. Lead by example. If you live right, your kids are going to live right. It's the same thing with health. If you're not eating well and you're not living by health examples, not drinking water, not doing the right things for your health, what do you think your children are going to do? What do you think your grandchildren are going to do? This is
More
the
is caught
misnomer
than
real quick.
taught.
Yeah, this is a real misnomer, Winnie, and this is, I'm glad this came up with my heart because I'm thinking about this. So many people go, I have mellitus diabetes, which means it's genetic and runs in the family. I'm like, no, you don't. There's no diabetes that's genetic. If you
Yeah,
follow everything that your family's been doing for decades and eating like them, well, yeah, then you have a strong chance of becoming diabetic. But there's
spot
no
on.
really scientific proof that diabetes type 2, type 3 is a genetic disease. That's the
Yeah.
craziest science myth ever. It's not true.
That is so, I'm glad you brought that up too, because you're absolutely correct. It's not true. It's based on how you've copied your parents or grandparents
Yeah,
or whatever. It
yeah,
becomes a genetic thing because of the habitual habits that you have taken on. But I'm glad you mentioned that. So there's hope, is what Tim is sharing. There's hope,
absolutely. Hope.
and
And it
yeah,
doesn't matter what age you are. And, and you know what? Hydration, fiber, and exercise on top of everything you're going to learn from us is the most important thing you can do for your body. And when I mean hydration, I mean good water, fiber intake, and just exercise. If you do those three things without anything else, you're going to change your life. Um, Cut out the sodas, cut out the fast foods, and then we start. That's a good basis, and then we can build from there with everything you're going to learn from our app.
that's so good. I love it. Well, bless you, Tim. I appreciate all you're doing. I really do. I love being around others that are passionate about people's health. And thank you for sharing your story as well. So God bless you. And I'll direct people there in the show notes where to go.
Well, thank you for everything you're doing, Winnie, and keep up the good work. And I love your passion as well, and your heart for Jesus. And it's just got to change I say, change the world one person at a time.
That's right. That's right. Amen. All
Uh,
right. Take care.
all right.
Well, I sure hope you enjoyed this episode of the Visibly Fit podcast, and that you were inspired and that you found hope in Tim's story, or maybe his son's story, but also just hope in knowing that there are solutions out there, whether it's through Get Visibly Fit, through this app. There are solutions. And if you are ready to change, we have solutions for you. And it's about lifestyle. It's about community. It's about education. And Tim has really been the visionary in this app and this whole movement that has helped thousands of people. So go to the link in my show notes so that you have the exact link if you are looking for this solution in this way and getting help with your diabetes, or for someone that you know and love. Also, share this episode with others that you know and love that are looking for solutions that will help them get healthy and well, because that's really how God wants you, me, and all of us to be. And he wants us to be in our best, healthiest self so that we can bring him glory and be equipped for all he has for us and the call that we have on our lives. So again, share this episode and go to the show notes and look for the link there. And then you can learn more. All right. So thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We will catch you next time right here on Visibly Fit. Take care. Well, that's a wrap for today's show. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love spending this time with you. To learn more and get more free resources, just head on over to wendiepett.com. And thank you in advance for sharing this episode and this podcast, following and subscribing, not only to this podcast, but finding me on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, I'm probably there too. Until next week and our next podcast time together, make it a visibly fit day.